Inside Roblox there are players with stories almost no one knows. Stories so dark they sound made up. But they're not. And the one I'm about to tell you today is one of them. The story of a little girl who was almost killed by her own mother. It all begins in 2014 when Roblox was starting to explode worldwide. Every single day thousands of new players were joining, and among them was a 9-year-old girl we'll call Anne. Anne loved roleplay games. She spent hours in school servers, family servers, virtual houses, those games where you can change your avatar, create a different life, and forget about the real world without needing money in your account. We've all played something like that at some point, right? Well, inside Roblox, Anne was a completely normal kid. She didn't do anything strange, she didn't stand out, she didn't seem to have any problems. But the real horror wasn't in the game. It was in her life outside the screen. Anne played on an iPad, which back then wasn't cheap at all. That meant her family had good financial stability. Her parents could buy her almost anything she asked for. And for a while, Anne was a happy child. But everything changed that same year. Her father was fired from his job. At first, it didn't seem serious, because they had savings, and after some time, he found another job. However, he wasn't making the same money. Purchases were cut back, luxuries disappeared, and Anne started hearing arguments that had never existed before. As months passed, the situation got worse. The new job wasn't enough to cover expenses, and the family began selling things from the house. They even talked about selling Anne's iPad. But of course, she completely refused. She didn't want to lose the only thing that made her feel calm, the place where she could keep living her dream life. Her parents got furious, but eventually they gave in. Then the worst happened. Her father changed a lot, to the point where he cheated on her mother. He left the house and abandoned his wife and daughter. From one day to the next, Anne's mother had to deal with everything. The debts, the house, the job, and a 9-year-old child. Eventually, she found a job, but the exhaustion and frustration were eating her alive. After work, she came home drained, stressed, and had to handle everything on her own. Anne tried to help, but she was just a child. One day, after coming home from work, the mother noticed that Anne hadn't done some household chores she had asked for. Anne has spent the entire afternoon playing Roblox on the iPad. That was the moment everything exploded, and her mother completely lost her patience. For the first time, she hit Anne, and it wasn't just a slap. It was something brutal. All the stress, anger, and sadness she had bottled up came crashing down on her own daughter. Anne cried, begged, promised she'd never do it again, that she would obey everything. But her mother was completely out of control. Emily's scream caught the attention of some neighbors, but since it was the first time something like this happened, no one stepped in. They thought it was just a family argument. Minutes later, the mother stopped. Emily was left on the floor, shaking in fear and covered with marks. It was the first time her mother had had something like that, and sadly, it wouldn't be the last. That day marked the beginning of something that'll never turn back. As days passed, this behavior became part of the routine. It wasn't as severe as the first time, but it happened constantly. A slap for any mistake, a shove for any wrong word. The mother unloaded all her frustration onto a defenseless child, and little by little, began to break inside. The effects didn't take long to show. At school, Emily wasn't the same anymore. Her grades dropped. She was distracted. She was always tired. Teachers called her mother worried because she had always been a good student. So, something was clearly wrong. The mother was called to the school, but she didn't feel guilt. She felt anger. For her, the problem had a name, and of course, she blamed the iPad. That same day, when they got home, she hid the device. Emily broke down in tears when she realized she could no longer play Roblox. She had no escape left. She spent her days in silence, sitting in her room, wondering when her life had turned so dark. 1 week later, something happened that changed everything. Emily heard her mother talking on the phone. She was saying a price, negotiating something. The iPad was for sale. Emily heard everything without making a sound and cried silently. That iPad was the only good thing she had left. Her father was gone. Her mother wasn't the same anymore. Roblox was her only refuge, the only place where she could keep living the life she dreamed of. And then Emily made a decision. If they were gonna sell the iPad, she would hide it first. The day of the sale was Saturday. Emily had everything calculated. It was 2 p.m. and the buyer would arrive at 3 p.m. The deal would happen inside the house. The mother took the iPad out from where she had it hidden and left it on the table. Emily watched everything from a distance. Her mother suspected nothing. At 1 p.m. she had gone to check on her room and saw Emily sleeping deeply. But Emily was only pretending. At 2:30 p.m. there were only 30 minutes left. It was now or never. Emily saw that her mother was lying down in her bedroom. She walked silently, grabbed the iPad from the table, and ran to hide it in her room. Then she did something unexpected. She opened the front door of the house and screamed at the top of her lungs, asking for help. Her mother came running out, terrified, asking what had happened. Emily, shaking, told her that a man had broken into the house, saw the iPad, and took it. The lie had just begun. And even though it seemed to work at that moment, the worst was still yet to come. The mother couldn't believe it. She thought the man she had been negotiating the iPad sale with had tricked her. Between anger and panic, she asked Emily if she was okay, if that man had done anything to her. Emily, trembling, told her no, that nothing had happened to her. The mother tried calling the buyer over and over again. No one answered. Her anger began to grow. She already had plans for that money. She truly needed it. And now everything had fallen apart. For Emily, the lie had worked. For several days, everything seemed normal. She only played on the iPad when her mother was working or asleep. She tried to be extremely careful. Poor Emily believed she had gotten away with it. But something started to raise suspicion. The mother noticed that Emily always had dark circles under her eyes and seemed to sleep very little. She was also tired all the time. So one night, around 9 p.m., her mother decided to pretend she was falling asleep, just to see what her daughter would do. She walked silently down the hallway and noticed laughter coming from Emily's room. This began to seriously irritate her mother. When she opened the bedroom door, she couldn't believe it. Emily was sitting on her bed, holding the iPad, playing Roblox as if nothing had happened. The mother's expression completely changed. She was furious, frustrated, and deeply disappointed in Emily because she had never dared to lie like that before, and all over a game. Emily saw her standing in the doorway and knew exactly what was coming. The mother walked toward her, ripped the iPad from her hands, and slammed it against the floor with force. The screen shattered into pieces, and then she went after Emily to unleash her fury. The scene got completely out of control. Emily began screaming as loud as she could. She screamed for help, and at one point she truly thought her mother was gonna end her life. The neighbors heard the girl's screams of terror, and this time they acted immediately and called the police right away. 15 minutes later, police patrols arrived at the house, but no one came to open the door. The officers had to break it down. They went upstairs, checking room by room, until they found the scene. On the floor were two people, a woman between 30 and 40 years old, crying with her hands soaked. Next to her, there was a small girl in a very bad condition. The officers arrested the woman on the spot and called for an ambulance. Emily was rushed to the hospital. At that moment, the lie ended, and with it, Emily's life almost ended as well. After several days in the hospital, the girl finally woke up. Emily was able to tell the police everything, and with that statement, the authorities managed to contact her father and made him legally responsible for taking care of her. Her mother was given no second chance. She was arrested and sent to prison for severe child abuse. Emily tells this story years later, not with anger, but with sadness. She says that living with her father is not the best thing in the world, but even so, she misses her mother before her home was destroyed. She says it herself, if she had never taken that iPad, none of this would have happened. This case is truly disturbing, a story that shows how something so small can end in an enormous tragedy. And well, friends, this was the tragic story of Emily. Comment if you liked it, and we'll see you in the next video.